Hello once again, everybody. Glad everybody could join us. This Nasdaq pretty pretty much lived up to our expectations today, didn't it? We had talked about the fact that it was a very compressed day yesterday, that we were set to have a pretty good move, uh, and it took out the lows and then it took out the highs. So could have went the other way as well, but at least you got a big move, and we did get, I believe it was up 40, a total of 40 handles today. All right, so this is a workshop. We're going to go through a number of things, and you're looking at some of these trades here on the Nasdaq. It was just pounding out the trades all day. But the first thing I want to talk about is I want to make sure that nobody has uh, what I call the Grail bars. Okay, so I'm going to right click on the chart, go to indicators, go to data series, and make sure that you don't have this that says Grail bars. Okay, because there's a little bit of a glitch in there on some of the bars for some people on their computers, so decided to just go with the other HPT bars or the C3 bars. Okay, if anybody has that, you need to remove that assembly. You need to remove that assembly from your list. Okay. All right. Secondly, want to make sure everybody uh, check on your control panel and go to File, and make sure that this AT interface box is checked. Okay, make sure that that box is checked. That'll enable everything to talk back and forth. If anybody has any questions on that, let me know. All right. So lastly, if you want to, I'll show how to do this. If you want to open a new chart and put the Grail system on there, this is what you're going to do. Okay. I'm going to go to the control panel. And I'm going to go to File, New, Chart. Okay. And let's see, what do I want to do? Let's get an August gold. So I'm going to get August gold. I want to make sure my HPT bars are here. And as long as we're here, I want to make sure everybody has 2, 2, 1 on their bars. Whether they're HPT bars or they're the C3 bars, make sure they're 2, 2, and 1. And if they're not, you need to change that. And then hover over the bars, right click, and then left click. Set default. Okay? You never have to worry about that again when you bring your bars up. Yes, Ferguson, I'm recording this now, and I'll get it rendered and probably up within a couple hours here today. So it'll be over there on the YouTube, Hypercent Trading YouTube. You bet. Okay. Um, so 221. Okay, I'm just going to use 5 days here. I'm going to use the default 24/7. Okay, and I'm going to use the template, the Grail template. The Grail template. All right, that's the template that came with the package. That's the Grail template, and then I'm going to hit OK. All right, and that populates my chart. And again, what do we have on the chart for indicators? We have the Grail DT. That's this indicator right here with all the lines and the bands. We have the Grail Profit. That's this one here. We have the Grail Chop. That's the middle one. And the Grail Outer Limits together with the Grail BTS. That's these colored bars. Okay, so those are the indicators that are on the chart. Now, we've designed the indicators to be simple to look at, simple, friendly to use, but they're looking at a lot of different parameters, a lot of different indicators, and a lot of different algorithms that they're combining here. But the goal was to make this simplified as far as the look and the use. All right, now we're missing one thing. Can anybody tell me what we're missing right here? If I want to be able to trade and see the trades, what are we missing? We're missing actually the Grail system, right? Because remember, the Grail system with Grail 1, 2, and 3 is not something that you can create a chart template with, okay? Simply because the way it works, you cannot create a chart template. It will interfere with its ability to produce signals in real time. So once you have your chart template up, you have to add it, okay? You add that template. So I'm going to go to add that indicator rather. All right, we're going to add the indicator. So go to indicator, scroll down, find Grail. Here it is, new, and OK. All right, now, as you can see when we do this, I can already tell from the arrows that are going on here that my Grail 1 is running wide open, okay? The Grail 1 is running wide open, which means every time, regardless of what the trend is, this profit turns blue or it turns red, it's going to signal a black arrow up or down, okay? I only want to trade with the trend. So in order to do that, some of you remember, I'm going to go to Grail 1, and I'm going to click on this box right here, the Grail 11A. It's called the Grail DT. That's the trend. I want to click on that, and I'm going to apply it, okay? And then I'm going to reload NinjaScript. Always apply. Every time that you make a change in here, all right, click something on or off, click it apply, right click, and reload NinjaScript. Now, it'll do it on the fly in real time, right? But if you want to see the history of the trades, this is the history, okay? So like going back to very early on this morning, these are all pretty good entries in gold, right? These are all Grail 2 entries. Now, some of you may be wondering, where's the Grail 1? Where's the black arrow? Because we should get a black arrow, right? Remember, I set it to go with the trend. So I need to go all the way back here and find when my trend went from a downtrend to an uptrend. And that's where I'm going to find my arrow. Once it's in that uptrend, and that uptrend never changes, you're not going to get another black arrow again. That's it. Okay? So even though we went from blue to red, back to blue, back to red, back to blue, we're going to get one arrow indicator only. There's a way to get more if you want. I don't like doing it. I don't want to really show this in the trial, but for anybody who's a member or comes on as a member, if you're interested in seeing it, I'll do it for you, but I don't recommend it, okay? Because once you're in the trade, I like using the other setups better, okay? Especially the Grail 2 setup, all right? That's why we did it the way we did, but I'm scrolling all the way back. And here's the trend change right here. We went from a downtrend to an uptrend, and here's your black arrow. Okay? So this is very important. I get questions sometimes. Why no more black arrows? Because I asked it only to trade with the trend. That's the trade right here. So when the trend, when the profit turned red back to blue, it's not going to produce another black arrow. When it from red to blue again, it won't do another black arrow. And again, for the most part, it's because we're getting far superior entries with Grail 2. Okay? And if we look at this gold chart, and by the way, I didn't trade gold today. I didn't even look at it till I brought it up here right now. So let's just analyze this. If we go way back to when this trend started, this was your Grail 1 trade. That was the 2 trade. Grail 2 for a pretty good profit. Grail 2 again for a pretty good profit. Grail 2 for a nice profit. Now this one got a scalp, and that was it. Okay, but somebody please tell me down here, what is this? See if some of the stuff is kind of registering. What is this down here? As we came down, we had a trade here. If you were trading it, this was like almost before the European Open, but the trend was still up. We came down, right? That's a second bite, right? That's the trend is up. Our chop came down below the line and turned up. That's re-entry. Now that entry for the most part has to be done manually, unless you're running perhaps Grail 3. Okay, but I'm not running Grail 3 on this. So if I was trading this, I would be looking to re-enter this trade again. Okay, so continuing on, another Grail 2 setup, another setup for a scalp, and then a stop, and then again, same thing as we had before. That's the re-entry, right? Another one here and here, and that's it. So I don't know how many of these in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. They all produced either a good scalp or a big run or both. And that's pretty good. That's above average. That's an above average performance. But that's 10 in a row. And that's pretty good. So any questions so far on what we've covered? I don't want to jump into any other topics yet, but any questions so far on what we've covered so far? I'll keep an eye out for that. Okay, Rome set up here. He has a T Grail, not an R Grail. Okay, and so that's a good point. Glad you brought that up, Rome. Don't worry about what this says. It could be R, it could be A, it could be B, it could be Z. All this is something that's being kept track of in the computer, so it knows what it's running. It has nothing to do with the performance of the Grail system. Okay, it's just a kind of a marker with the manager, so it knows what it's doing. Okay. Now I'll turn to Grail 2. What is Grail 2 doing? Again, it's using the Grail DT as its trend. It's got to be, in other words, longs, we have to be in an uptrend, shorts in a downtrend. It's using the Grail profit. In other words, it's got to be blue for a long, red for a short. It's using the Grail chop. We have to be at our levels, and that's it. And reversal bars. Okay. Now there's ways in the future that if you want to trade both sides, you don't have to trade with the trend. You can turn that off. Okay. I just show that, but I'm not stressing that because, again, the whole purpose behind this was we wanted to create something that 90% of the traders can just put on and consistently make money session in and session out without having to worry about parameters and is this on and that on, okay? But for those 10% of you who want to tweak it out a little bit or change things, you certainly can. We can cover that in the future, but that's not really where the bread and butter is here, okay? All right, so those are the two. That's Grail 1, Grail 2. And then the last one is Grail 3, and that's the deeper one that we talk about. I use that on the equities after 45 minutes after the pit open. I generally don't run it on the currencies. You can see I'm not running it here on gold. You're going to miss a few trades because of that, but by and large, you're going to get the lion's share of the good ones. And it's using the Grail DT, and it's actually got to, for a long, the setting is it's got to go to band 3 or lower, and for a short, band 5 or higher with the trend. You can control this if you want. If you just want to do mid-band or lower, or mid-band or higher, then put 4 and 4 in here instead of 3 and 5. Okay? That's really the only change that I would look at. And then it's using the chop, and it's using reversal bars, and it's using the Grail outer limits. And then I have mine set, at least for the equities, at 7:15 my time. Okay? That's it pretty much in a nutshell. Question from Rome. Sorry. Question from Rome. How do we get to Grail settings? So your question is, Rome, how do we get to this? So again, what you want to do is where it says, where you have, what did you have, you said? A different letter for your Grail? You had a T Grail, that's it right here. Okay? Just so you know, again, what these tabs are. The Grail profit, that's right here. The Grail outer limits, that's right here. The Grail DT, that's all of this. And then the Grail is this. So you click on the tab at the top, and then you have four columns at the top here, okay? Grail 1, Grail 2, Grail 3. I haven't talked about the common settings too much, but the common settings over here is, this is actually the auto trader and the automatic entry and management, and I'll cover that a little bit today. But if I were to activate this and apply it and reload it, the trader would appear on the right. Rick, is your question how to trade with the trend only on Grail 1? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, okay. Let me go back to that and then let me show what you can do here, okay? A couple of you know this already, but this is the nice thing about this. If I click on this and go to Grail 1, I have my trend set, don't I? Okay, I have my trend set. Once I have that and I apply it, I can rename this. I could call this Grail Trend, okay? Because I've changed, because you may have changed this as you just did, right? And I apply it, and then I can do this. I can say save to file. All right, and it's gonna save it. In this case, I've got a template, all my templates over here on the desktop, and I'll show again later on, not today, how to do these, but you know, I would call it Grail Trend and save it. Okay, and then if I want to go ahead and get it again, I would open it back up. I would say load from file. It would take me over there, Grail Trend, open, apply, and that's it, reload, and I'm done. And that way you can have several instances of this. You can have one that trades wide open. You can have one that trades with the trend. Okay. You can have one that automatically reverts to the outer limits or the Grail 3, but that's an advanced feature that I just wanted to touch on. Okay, there's other things in here that this can do, but again, as I mentioned, for 95% of you, there's one or two things you're going to want to stick with, and that's going to be it. Okay. Trader, I'll come back and try to answer your question here a little bit later on how do you differentiate when you re-enter a trade. I'll touch back on that. But Rome, you're saying nothing, it's probably hidden down here. Are you using multiple monitors? When you click on your tab, you're not using multiple, it's probably hidden down there somewhere. Are you getting arrows though on your Grail system? Okay, so if you're getting arrows, it's there. And let me just show something. So when I click on this, I just clicked on it. I'm going to come down here to my NinjaTrader. I guess I didn't click on it hard enough. There it is. Click twice. Ferguson says his is hidden behind the Windows Task Manager. Okay, but it's there. If you were to come down and look, you see where it says this down here? It's there. You could go maximize if you wanted, and it would do it. But it's down there. So if you click on it and don't see it, come down here to your main NinjaTrader and find it down here. So it's probably hidden somewhere. You need to maximize it. Is that right, Rome? You found it? Okay. All right, Lee, your question. What's the difference between the CR2 101? There's the only difference between the two bars, Lee, that I sent, the HPT bars and the C3 bars, is just a different name. Some people have other custom bars, and if there's a conflict, if those bars are within Ninja named the same thing, it won't show up. So that's the only difference. But the key is, whether you're running the C3 or whether you're running the HPTs, this is your key here, 221. That's what you got to have. Okay, that's all you got to have. So other than that, Lee, no big difference. All right. So I've covered that part of it. They might be, Bob. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that. Maybe they are. I do not use range bars on this. I don't like the range bars. I mean, these bars were made specifically to trade this. So you can try range bars, but I don't recommend it. You can try it. By the way, Bob, you asked me also, we are working on now, we will have the Grail indicators available with Bloodhound and Shark. Okay, probably within a week to 10 days. So I know some of you have Bloodhounds, some of you have the Shark indicators. You'll be able to build your own templates with these as well. Rick, what do you mean you lost all your Grail 1 bars? I'm not following that. So Lee, did I answer your question, I hope, on those bars? Jim, no. Jim's question was, do we have it in Sierra charts? Um, that's something we can look into. I'm not really familiar with them. Are you using it? Uh, so Lee, your question, how does one initiate the entry arrows? The arrows are automatic. Okay. Rick, what I would recommend is remove your Grail system indicator and then bring your chart back up and then put it back on again. And it'll revert back. So Lee, you're saying when you set up the chart, you don't see them there. Is that right? Okay. Are you going into, so are you using the chart template, Lee? Using the chart template to set it up? The Grail template? Okay. Then what you need to do is you need to right click on the chart, go to indicators, scroll down, and find Grail. Okay. Grail is not part of the template. And then put new and hit OK. Okay. The Grail system, this one, is not part of the chart template. It can't be part of the chart template because this changes on the fly. Okay, that's what prohibits it from being part of the chart template. So do that and then you'll be good. All right. Let's see. I'm going to circle back, Alan, to your question. When do we know to re-enter? Okay. So here's a good example. I'll use this as an example. Let's say that this was you took this entry right here. This is a Grail 2 entry, and you took the Grail 2 entry. All right. So instead of going with a larger stop, which would be one tick under the next band, you went with the tight stop, which was one tick under the swing. Okay, one tick under the swing. So it came down and it stopped you out. And I indicated generally on those tight stops, probably 50% of the time, it's at least going to come down and take that swing out by a tick or two, maybe more. But 50% of the time it's going to happen, only to turn around and then continue on for a good trade. So if that was your stop, it got hit. What I'm looking at then, we're coming down still. The trend hasn't changed. That's all I'm looking at. Has the trend changed or not? I'm not looking at anything else. And then I'm looking at the chop indicator to tell me when to get back in. And I'm in this case, because we're below the threshold, once it turns back up above it, that's the get back in. So that's how you differentiate that, okay? That's how you tell how to re-enter using the Grail 2. When it comes to Grail 1, here's the Grail 1 trade right here, okay? Well, because Grail 1 is a momentum type trade, you're generally going on strength in the direction that you want. There's generally not a defined swing low or swing high prior that you can use as a stop. So what I do is I look at the entry bar, entry bars here, and I look 2 bars to the left. In the case of a long or short, it doesn't matter. 2 bars to the left, 1, 2. I want to find the lowest bar of the 2, and I place my stop 1 tick under that. Okay. If that gets taken out, I'll put that trade back on again. If we take out the bar high in the case of a long that the entry signal came on. So it's a little bit different, a little bit management different. That's all. You can solve both problems initially by creating an ATM strategy to manage your trade. Robert, your question is on the second bite out of the apple. Can you set the trader to buy on a reversal bar? The answer on that is no, we don't have the reversal bar function in this, okay? As far as that type of trade setup. That's something maybe we might consider in the future, okay? Because that seems to be a good supplement to this. All right, so this gets me to now. I'm just going to shift gears for a minute because some of you want to see, what's a fairly reasonable ATM strategy to use on this, and then I'm going to show how to activate the trader on this. Okay, so if I click on the Chart Trader tab, all right, over here under ATM Strategies, I'm able to select whatever I want. Okay. Well, let's just say, do we have training videos? Well, these are part of them, Alan. And I guess as we go on, because the Grail is a fairly new release, we'll have more and more. Yeah, absolutely. So let's say we want to create a new one. All right, so we're going to go to here. All right, ATM Strategy, Custom. Okay, so I pick Custom. I'm going to show how to do a one contract one first. Okay, so my order quantity is 1. My quantity is 1. My initial stop, I usually like to put 7. Okay, and you can put a profit target, I'll say 12. Okay, that's just an arbitrary number that I picked. Okay, the trail stop strategy, you have to pick custom. Okay, so in this case, if I want to break even, if I go to say 6 ticks, and I want to go to break even, that's what this will do. Okay, if I want to trail, let's say I get to 8 ticks, every 2 ticks we move, I want to trail my stop say 4 ticks behind that. Okay, I'm just giving you an example on a one contract one. Okay, if you're only trading a one contract, I don't even recommend that you use a trail stop. Okay, what I recommend is you just have a flat amount like this and a break even if you want it, and leave it at that. Okay, and then you hit OK, and then you want to save it. So you right click where it says Manage ATM Templates, and you can pick whatever name that you want. Okay, this is very important. Whatever name that you pick, you can't have any spaces or special characters or anything in between. So in other words, if I call this Grail 1 contract, and I could save it, there are no spaces in between. This will not work though if you were to do this. Okay? It just won't work. So they all have to be one after the other. Very important point. Okay? Any questions so far? Now let's say you want to trade a 2 contract one. Okay, so I'm going to go 2 targets, but I need to change my quantity here to 2, right? Quantity 1, quantity 2. So let's say I'm going to have a 7-tick stop and I want a 7-tick scalp. My first one's going to be a scalp target. All right, scalp target. My custom on this would be, well, if we get to 7 ticks and some reason I don't get filled, all right, I want to maybe go to break even. I want to go to break even on it. Okay, so that one's going to be okay. For the second one, I'll also place my stop at 7, but I'll take a bigger profit target. I'll set that profit target to say 30. And I could have a custom strategy. This is really up to you now. Some people are going to ask me, what's the best? There is no best when it comes to trail stops. I like to manage them. So for example, I don't want to have a break even here. All right. And I could basically say if we get to say 16 ticks, every 2 ticks, update it and trail now by 6 ticks. This is just completely arbitrary that I'm showing you. Everybody has different trail stop management. There is no one holy grail when it comes to trail stops, but I can tell you I don't like to use them that much. Okay, I really don't like to use trail stops that much. I like to follow the market and use my indicators to help me take profits. And we talk about how to do that in the webinars. Okay, so if we move 16 ticks up, it would then trail 6 back. If I wanted the second step, if let's say we got to 20 ticks, every two ticks, I want to go 4 back. And if we got to say 24 ticks, every 2, I might want to go 3 back or 2 back. All right, and then we're going to hit OK. And then we're going to right click, manage ATM templates. You could call this Grail 2 contracts and save. And if I look over here, I have my Grail 2 contracts now, and I would put that in. So this was just kind of a beginning type course or beginning type instruction on how to create an ATM strategy, but NinjaTrader has some really good videos, training videos on those. Okay, some real good training videos. Good question, Bobby says, do you find that arrows produced with the live data appear the same place as when creating a chart later with historical data? I would say 97%, 95% of the time, yes. The 5% is if you've got an ultra fast market where, for example, like a nat gas report, where you get 500 bars in 10 seconds, okay? That's the only time it wouldn't. But that's basically untradeable anyway, right? That's the only time. I can tell you that the correlation is really tight. Okay, all right, so let's talk about the trader for a minute now. If you want to activate the trader, you're going to come over here. Remember the 4 tabs we have at the top? You're going to go to Common Settings. You're going to do Grail Trader Reload. You're going to click that. You're going to apply, and as always, we're going to reload NinjaScript. When I do that, watch what happens down below here in this big gray shaded area. Okay, reload NinjaScript. All of a sudden, we get this. Okay, so let's say we're trading. I'm looking for the next long setup. So I'm going to go down to the buy area, and that's buy market. That means it's going to buy on the market order once we get an arrow. Or I can tell it buy the bid when we get an arrow. It'll place a limit order at what the bid is at that time. Or I can tell it buy the ask. It'll place a limit order at the ask at that moment. Okay, but I'm not done yet. Okay, I have to activate it. So there's no entry right now. So it wouldn't matter right now, even though this is on and we get an arrow, there's going to be no trade. I have to tell it, do one entry. One entry doesn't mean one contract. It means once we get one entry off an arrow, this is going to turn back white, and we're not going to get any more until that trade is closed out and you activate this again. Okay? Well, let's say I want multiple entries. I don't want to have to be clicking this on or off every time. So I can click multiple entries, which means that it'll take for example, it'll take a trade. Once it would hit your profit target or stop, or you close it out, when it came back down here again and you got the arrow, it would take another trade. Okay, that's how that works. Notice what happens if I don't have an ATM strategy in here. I'm going to take it out. If I have none, this says disabled, no ATM selected. So it doesn't matter what I do here, it's not going to do anything because there's no ATM strategy. You have to have one in here. It's a fail-safe, so the strategy's there. Conversely, if I wanted to be a seller, it's the same thing. I click sell market, sell ask, sell bid, either one entry or multiple entries. Okay? Now let's say you're trading the black arrows and you don't know, and it's not trend specific, and you want to trade both sides. In other words, you're trading whatever black arrow is going to come. You don't know if it's going to be an up arrow or a down arrow. So all you have to do is click buy market, sell market, and one entry. And whatever the next, well, I'm assuming only the black arrows are being run right now, or not. Whatever the next arrow is, whether it's up or down, it'll take that trade. Same thing on multiple. Okay. I know we haven't covered much of this at all up till now because basically this last few days we're just talking about how to import everything, how to get them on their charts, what the indicators mean, how they interface, how you set it. So this is going to an advanced level now. Okay. Once you're in a trade, you can exit on the opposite arrow. So if you're long, you could exit on an arrow down. You could add. Let's say you're long, you could add on an arrow up, or you can reverse on an opposite arrow. So if you're in a long trade and you get a down arrow, you can reverse. It'll close out your position and put you short. Okay? That's kind of the quick and dirty here of this trader. Any questions on that? My recommendation is run it in sim. Okay? And just test it. You can't break it. Just run it in sim and try a whole bunch of things. Yes, absolutely, Rick. See, that's the good thing. Rick's question is, can you manually move the profit target and stops? Once that goes into effect, okay, your profit target and stops are up here. All you have to do is click on it and you can move it. Absolutely. So unlike a strategy, most strategies are kind of hard to manage because you got to go into the strategy and change it. This actually works with the chart trader. So it's like a strategy because it's based on all the filtering here, but you can actually manage it through the chart trader system. No, good question, Ed. Is the entry button needed to add, exit, or reverse? No. So these buttons, they don't mean anything when it comes to add, exit, or reverse. And neither is the entry button here. I think that's what you meant. But I also want to talk about these down here. So yeah, not needed. Okay. What else do we want to cover? Let's take a look at Nasdaq again. Nasdaq was just stellar today. Well, let me show the chart first of all. Remember what I said on this morning's chart on Nasdaq. I pointed to this bar right here, and I said typically when this happens, we're going to get a pretty good move. All right, and most of the time, a lot of the times, we're going to take out one side and then go the other way, and that's what we did today. We started down, we took out the low, that was this line from here, and then we took out the high, which is the line from here. We're testing the contract high here. We'll probably do that tonight or in the morning, and then I would be very careful after that. Again, this Nasdaq's getting way overdone. So anyway, let's pull up the Nasdaq from today. And we go way back now. These were all the Grail trades from today. Okay, does this look familiar here? Anybody tell me what Grail trade this is here? These trades down here. Anybody? That's Grail 3. So Grail 3, Grail 2, Grail 2, Grail 2, Grail 2, 2, and gone. Okay, I did have 3 activated, but we didn't get, the market was so strong today. We only got these trades down here. And we got some earlier ones too, here and here. And notice this one, Alan. This was a Grail 2 entry, right? If you had a tight stop, you got taken out. You'd be looking for the re-entry, bite out of the apple. Where was it? It's when we turned back up again, right here, which is a little late, but you got a second signal ahead of that, so it would have put you in ahead of that on Grail 2 and Grail 3. You had a double entry down here. Okay. That's just what I pick, Arjun. Why Grail 3 for 400 minutes? That's 6.5 hours, right? That's just what I have. I wanna cover the end of the pit session, right? So my my pit session opens at 6:30, right? I don't have it started until 7:15. So 8:15, 9:15, 10:15, 11, 12, 1. That's 6 hours. Pretty close. That would be 360 minutes. That's the only reason. But I'm done trading well before that. But that's a good question. Yes, it will, Ed. If you have multiple entries checked, the next time you get an arrow in the same direction, it's going to add it. So that's one thing you have to watch out for. It absolutely will. If you have the add function in there. Okay. We can take a few more questions. I just want to remind everybody tomorrow, we start early tomorrow. We start at 5:20 Pacific tomorrow, 8:20 Eastern. We have a major US report. We're going to follow the Nasdaq. We'll follow the yen. We'll follow the 6E. We'll follow gold. Those are 4 good contracts to follow tomorrow on that report. We'll go to 7:15. Now I realize we got oil inventory at 7:30, but we won't be around for that. But all of you that have this, I'll comment again on the settings for the oil inventory, and then you can follow it when it comes out. Same thing on Thursday. Thursday we also have a major report. So we'll do the same thing on Thursday, starting early, 5:20 in the morning, 8:20 Eastern. We'll go to 7:15 Pacific, 10:15 Eastern. We'll follow the same 4 or 5 markets. On Friday, there's a Canadian dollar report early. We won't be there for that, but I will show the Canadian once we get into the room, because generally the Canadian's a really good trader. I think you saw the last one last week. That Canadian just cleaned up last week. It's a nice contract. It's $5 a tick. I think the only ones that are not $5 a tick now are, well, the euro, which is six and a quarter, and the Aussie, which is 10. See, Alan, what's the significance of a dot and the Grail chop? Okay, so what Alan's referring to is there's a dot here and a dot here and another dot here, and you'll notice what's happening is when the chop gets above the threshold and closes below it, that's where you get your dot. Or when the chop gets below the threshold and closes up, that's where you get your dot. So that's it. That's what the dots are. It's just a visual aid to show you. Okay, Larry said not getting the 3 most recent blue arrows. Your last one is around 6 a.m. in Nasdaq, Larry? Oh, and gold. All right, let me go back. So you said you didn't get this one, or this one. Is that right? Okay, let's check one thing. Gold's been on a tear here. In fact, how many blue arrows did we have in gold once we got this trend change? And I already know what the answer is going to be here as to why you're not showing it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12, right? Go to your Grail, go to Grail 2 settings. What is your max arrows per setup to? What do you have in there? 10? Larry and Ferguson said 10. What do you have? Where is that? Go to the Grail 2. It's the 4th line down. You have 12. Well, maybe you're on a different time frame. Where are you guys located? Mountain time. So you're 1 hour earlier. Yeah. Do me a favor, change it to 15, apply it, and then reload it and see if you get it. Okay, I mean it's rare to have a long run like this. Change it to 15, apply it, and reload it and see if they come up. If not, there's one other issue. Yep, they came up. Okay. All right, so that's it. So remember, I showed you how to save that. If you want to save it, you can. But I don't think I'd worry about that right now. Let's see, who asked me the question? Simon, because I know you're over in New Zealand, right? I have the links here. Hang on, let me get them. I have the two links for the prior to on the channel for the videos. I'll post them here again for anybody who wants them. Hang on. Okay, I just sent them in the chat here. You'll see it, or in your question answers, you'll see it. Those are the two links for the two prior workshop videos. Okay, one's about an hour, the other one's about an hour and 20 minutes. As soon as I get done here today, probably within the span of about 2 hours, this one will be up there as well. Okay, you're welcome. All right, that's what I wanted to cover today. I think we had a good grounding. Almost brings us to the hour. Yeah, Ed, give me about a half an hour and then I can come in there, okay? I need to get a little coffee or something and charge up. So let's figure in a half an hour from now. How's that? Okay, any final questions from anybody? Again, try to make it tomorrow. We're gonna watch the markets set up here as we go after the reports, and we might have one or two trades in some of the markets. We may not have any in one or two. It just depends on how active we are. But the good thing is they generally always move. Yeah, what was that? You used the template on that too, Alex. They're too far spaced. So why don't you, can you grab the spacing down here at the bottom? In other words, what I'm doing where the time is, I'm going in between the time and I left click and if I hold it, my left mouse and I pull it, I can collapse it. Or I can make it bigger. That should fix your problem. Okay. Now, again, I want to reiterate, I don't like to tout this, but a lot of you have the trial here this week, okay? I try to cover as much as I can in these workshops, okay, as much as I can. But some of you may want a more detailed approach on this. You may want a one-on-one. I do offer a one-on-one coaching session. It's an hour session. It's $99, and I can set that up for anybody who wants it. I have found those to be very beneficial for a lot of traders because it pinpoints exactly what you need. It fast tracks you. I'm not touting it, believe me, but it's there if you want it. Most of your trials, I think, are going to expire here on Friday or Saturday. Depending on when you put it on, they're good for 7 days. Absolutely, Rick. In fact, if you hang on, yeah, on Friday. Okay? All right, I hope to see most of you tomorrow. Should be pretty good. Nasdaq's probably going to be pretty good tomorrow. It may be volatile up and down because we're testing the contract highs. We might even move overnight, and then by the time we open, we'll be above the big swing that we made a month or two ago. Okay? All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. I want to thank for everybody for coming. I'll get this posted up, and we'll see most of you tomorrow. Okay? All right, thanks for coming, everyone. See most of you tomorrow, and take care now. Bye-bye.